turn to Member Scott Lewis for his final reflections.
Thank you, Chair Moore. I really didn't want to go last, and I was like, no, Reggie, please get me. So I'm going to make a couple of very brief comments because there is work to do and I want us to get to it. First, I really am humbled to have been invited to take part in this process, and to meet and to know and to learn from every one of you has been truly the blessing of a lifetime. The community has been inspiring, has been remarkable, and you really truly are the blessings of your ancestors. I want to quickly say that I want to make a very dispassionate statement that quickly goes back to the Emancipation Proclamation. So in that document, which we all, I think, agree is important, we should, well, you know, in proclaiming the emancipation of enslaved people, enslaved African Americans in this country, Lincoln said two things: that the government should recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons, and that the government should do no acts to repress such persons in any efforts they may make for their actual freedom. I want to repeat that last part. That the government will do no acts or acts to repress such persons in any efforts they make for their actual freedom. Members John Sawyer, Member Montgomery Stepp just gave direct testimony of how their families, right, were repressed in their efforts to make their actual freedom. The document here, it's really heavy, by the way, is a... I don't have boundaries. I want to, like, you know, I'm like, sure, but, you know, I kind of want to keep it too, you know? But this document is a testimony to the ways repeatedly that the state of California has engaged in repressing African Americans in their attempts to actually make their freedom. This is what this is. And I want to add to that, that we should be mindful of the fact that in that act of repressing has been an intentional taking advantage and productivity for the benefit of the state. Meaning every instance of dispossession has been an opportunity for development for the state. Those of you know I'm from Berkeley, and I tell the story of South Berkeley all the time where I live, right? That in South Berkeley was the commercial heart of the African American community in that city. And in 1970s, in 1973, I believe specifically, the commercial corridor was raised to build the BART station at Ashby BART. So what that means is that the everyday commuting of workers to the city and around the Bay Area, whether you're working at Twitter or Facebook or Google, is directly inherited of the dispossession of that community. And so I want us to remember that this is the dualistic relationship that Black harm has had in this country, meaning it's one thing to say, yes, there's been anti-Blackness, it has been harmful to the Black community, but I want us to always keep at the front of our minds how productive that harm has been. It isn't just about Black loss, it is about state gain. And I'm not gonna call it white gain, state gain. And so with that being said, reparations are due for the most simple, boring reason. Because you've benefited. And still benefiting. So from convict leasing to gentrification, you have policies after policy, and we must remember slavery was a policy that has continued to enact harms of dispossession for African Americans who, again, were incorporated into this country for free labor to give without being compensated. With emancipation, there has only come new ways to take without due compensation. That's right. And the problem with that is that despite all of that, African Americans in this state and in this country have done and worked to fulfill the promise of Reconstruction, which is to gain tools, to gain property, and to just do the work of liberating themselves. And at every single turn, the state has engaged in policies and programs to interrupt that progress. And so reparations aren't needed for African Americans to progress. Reparations are needed to compensate African Americans for the repeated disruption to their progress. And then I want to say one more thing, which is that if this is reparations, let's make no mistake that this cannot guarantee repair. Reparations are the compensation for the injuries of African Americans today and their ancestors. But repair is the work of self-determination. Repair is the work of taking what was promised in Reconstruction, which was tools, right, and labor, your own labor, and land, and to go about the work of deciding who you want to be. And so as much as we want to uplift and we need to uplift our ancestors, I want us to think about our generations to come. In my book, in one of my books, I dedicate I dedicate both of my books to my child. I love my child. As I say in Jamaica, is my one picnic. So, but in that dedication, I say, Therese, may you never feel the need for repair. And that's what I want for all of our children. And so I think this is an important, critical first step. And I wanted to say, give thanks to everybody who has made this possible, who have invited me into your community to do this work, and for, you know, my beloved colleagues here who are now friends, you know what I mean? Like, for real, like, I don't know, like, add me to the WhatsApp if you can. So many people have been thanked, and I want to just reiterate those thanks, and I just want to say thank you, right, to the community, because this is your work. I've only been doing this in this way for the past 2 years, but this has been an ongoing labor for you in your more quieter spaces, oftentimes relegated spaces. And so I just want to say thank you for your ongoing labors, and I want to just give you as much of myself as I can give. Apparently not this thing. I'm going to keep mine. But beyond that, I will forever, you know, be here to work with you on this. Thank you.